I am admitting that I have wasted my 20s. And in this video, I'm going to share with you guys all the ways that I have wasted my 20s, my young adulthood, in hopes of helping you guys to avoid making the same mistakes that I have made. You do not want to get to your 30s, your mid 30s, and look back and realize that all your 20s were wasted doing things on people that was not going to move you forward in your life in any way. So if you are in your 20s and you are trying to figure life out, you're trying to figure yourself out, watch this video. The first way that I feel I have wasted my 20s is caring too much what people think about me. I have been so consumed and so afraid of being looked at in a negative way, being considered a difficult person or an incompetent person, of being a failure, that I have literally paralyzed myself into inaction. I have stopped myself from doing anything productive, anything of substance that is going to move me forward in my life, that is going to help me discover who I am. And as humans, we are social creatures. So our basic need is to connect and to belong to an in-group, and that requires being positively evaluated. So if we are looked at in a negative way, we risk isolation, we risk rejection, we risk not being liked by anybody else. So we strive to be liked, to be looked at in a positive light, because that means survival for us, that means belonging, that means connecting with other people. And what that has done for me is that it has made me so self-aware of how I'm being perceived, of what I'm wearing, what I look like, what I'm doing at all times. Are people watching me? What will people say? That I have not been able to develop into the person that I'm supposed to be, that I want to be. It has stifled me from exploring what I have to offer and what the world has to offer me. And the other thing it made me was a people pleaser. I was doing everything and anything to make other people happy, but not necessarily myself. Like, I didn't matter. My needs didn't matter. My desires, my wants didn't matter. My feelings, like what feelings? They didn't matter. And caring what other people thought about me made me the worst advocate for myself. Like, I was not a great advocate. I did not fight for what I deserved, what I wanted, what I needed. It didn't matter. I was avoiding conflict. Like, I didn't want to find myself in positions where there was conflict, where I was viewed as a difficult person. So I didn't ask for anything that I wanted, even if I deserved it. I was always thinking, oh my God, I'm asking for too much. I am demanding too much. I am difficult. I'm selfish. When really I wasn't any of that stuff. It was just that I cared so much what other people thought, that I was constantly aware of myself, and I stopped myself from doing anything that was really of benefit to me. So if you are in your 20s and you are finding yourself paralyzed with fear, and you're finding yourself thinking, what will people think? What will people say? Oh my God, how will I be perceived? It's holding you back. It's honestly holding you back. And when you really think about it in the grand scheme of things, nobody cares. Nobody actually cares. Everybody is consumed with what they're doing, especially in the Western world. Everybody's consumed with their lives. People have jobs, they have families, they have friends, they have their own lives to contend with, that they don't care what you're doing. And the people who do care really don't matter. If people are judging you and they are imposing their own ways of doing things and their own views on you, they don't really matter. If they care that much to the point where they're stopping you from being who you really are and doing what you really want, they don't matter. The next way that I wasted my 20s was not taking risks. Taking risks as a young person is the bread and butter of discovering who you are. And when we're young, we are so preoccupied with doing the right thing and terrified of doing the wrong thing. Right? So we paralyze ourselves into inaction. We don't want to fail. We don't want to be blamed. We don't want to look like idiots. So we don't do the things that we need to do in order to move forward. When I think of the businesses, the adventures, the holidays, the investments that I could have made that I didn't make, honestly, I feel so sad and I'm filled with so many regrets that now I have to play catch up. I have to do so much more. Like in your 30s, there is so much more at stake that you can't really afford to take as many risks as you could have taken when you were younger, when you were in your 20s. So it makes me really sad thinking about all the things that I didn't do that I should have done because I was thinking I need to do the right thing and avoid doing the wrong thing. In reality, there is no right or wrong thing to do, right? As long as you're not hurting yourself and you're not hurting anybody else, there is no right and wrong thing to do. So why are we so afraid of taking risks? I think it's because of our fear of failure. There is a possibility of failing when you take a risk, and nobody wants to fail and nobody wants to be looked at as a failure. And then that fear of failure is also linked to the fear of shame. Nobody wants to fail publicly because there is shame associated with it. In fact, a study in 2005 by McGregor and Elliott found that people who reported a high level of fear of failure also reported high levels of fear of shame when they perceived themselves to have failed at something, when they experienced failure. They were also less likely to share their failures with their parents and more likely to share their successes with their parents. So that fear of failure is clearly linked to the fear of shame, how we're perceived, how we are received by other people. But honestly, if you are in your 20s, I want you to hear me and hear me clearly. Fear is essential to life. It is essential to growth. It's essential to success, because when you're failing, you are learning, you are iterating, you are building confidence, building resilience. So honestly, fail hard, fail fast, and move on to the next thing. The next way that I wasted my 20s was not trusting myself. That is perhaps for me the biggest learning lesson that I have discovered about myself. I didn't trust myself in my 20s. I didn't trust my thoughts, my beliefs, my opinions, my judgments. I thought everybody else knew better what was best for me because they were older, they had more experience, or they knew this and they knew that, and I didn't know anything. I honestly didn't have confidence in myself, and I didn't trust that I could make a decision that was right for me. I always had to refer to other people when I was making decisions. I had to ask other people's advice or opinions and judgments because I thought they knew better for me what was best for me. I didn't believe that I could make the right decision for myself, and it makes me so sad that I didn't value that howler, that 20-year-old howler, and her thoughts, her opinions, and instead I went to other people to validate me. Nobody knows you better than you know yourself. If you sit still and you listen to yourself, you know what the right thing to do is. Even if people have been where you want to go, even if they are older than you and they've had all this experience, the advice that they're going to give you is based on their experience, is based on their understanding and their knowledge. They are not you, so they can't possibly tell you the exact thing for you to do. You can't do what they did to get to where you want to get to. And you don't necessarily even want to get to where they are. Your path is going to be different. So trust yourself and don't doubt yourself. Nobody knows better than you what is best for you. The next way that I wasted my 20s was not making more friends, not building more connections, more relationships. This one is really sad for me because I had all the opportunities to, but I didn't put myself out there. I didn't network. I figured that I had all the friends that I needed from my secondary school, and I had my partner, and that was enough. I think a lot of it was a fear of rejection. I was really scared of being rejected, and again of being perceived as difficult. I was scared of letting people in, so I made a conscious decision not to put myself out there. And I think I was also lacking in confidence, so I was less likely to put myself out there. So when I got to university, instead of really experiencing university, I was on campus. Instead of making friends and networking, I really held myself back. I was in my accommodation most of the time. But guys, your 30s, making friends as an adult is so hard. It is so hard because People have their friends at that age, people have their families, they have their careers, they are preoccupied, they're more closed off, they're less likely to let people into their inner circles. So in your 20s, please take the opportunity, go out, go meet people, go to events, figure out what your hobbies are and go and meet people at your hobbies. And finally, I wasted time on the wrong things. This has been a big regret for me, especially when it comes to my career and what I want to do for money. I always knew I didn't want to work in an office. I always knew I was not a corporate girl. I would say it when I was younger, I will never work in an office. But what did I go and do as soon as I graduated? I went and found a job in an office. And granted, I had to survive. We moved to London and I needed to pay rent and live. But as a creative person, that was not the best environment for me. I remember in my first job having to get up super early to prepare myself. I'd get up like at 5, put my office clothes on and then get back into bed because I couldn't face waking up at 8, then get dressed and then rush out. Like I had to prepare mentally, meditate. I was crying, like almost every morning I would be crying because I didn't want to go to work. Not everybody belongs in the corporate world, not everybody belongs in a traditional career. Some of us are wayward and we are creatives, we're entrepreneurs, we are creators, and that's what we need to do. Trust yourself. If you have that feeling in your 20s, trust yourself. It will save you so much time, so much turmoil, so much pain and angst and regret. Trust me. I have also wasted time in the wrong relationships. Hear me out, guys. Not every relationship, not every friendship is supposed to last forever. Sometimes things have run their course and you stay in there because, oh, you've been friends since primary school, since middle school, since secondary school, and you think you're supposed to carry on with the same people throughout life. That is not how life works. We are forever changing, our identities are forever evolving, and so should our relationships. Just because you've been with somebody for a long time, for a year, 2 years, 3 years, even 4 years, it doesn't mean that you have to be with that person forever, especially if the relationship is not healthy, especially if it's not taking you anywhere, it's not helping you evolve. You need to end relationships that are not moving in the same direction that you're moving in. I know it's really scary to walk away from things that you've known and things that are comfortable, but it is also essential to your growth. It is also essential for your evolution. So here we are in my 30s and I am reflecting on my life. I am reflecting on how I have been living and who I am. And these are the things that I have found have impacted me the most. I hope that you don't fall into the same traps that I did. I hope you don't make the same mistakes. You are allowed to make mistakes. Now, don't get me wrong, in your 20s, make as many mistakes as you can. I wish I had made as many mistakes. I think that's the biggest thing, is that I didn't want to make any mistakes. Don't do what I did. Do everything that I didn't do. Make your mistakes. This is your time to learn, to explore. Don't be afraid. Everything is going to be fine. As long as you're not harming yourself, you're not harming anybody, everything is going to be fine. Do it all in your 20s. So by the time you get to your 30s, you are a full-fledged person with an identity that you are proud of. You have experienced so much that you are ready to move on to the next phase of your life. I'm not saying your life is over in your 30s. I'm just saying that it is more difficult, it's more challenging, and there's more at stake in your 30s. So do as much as you can in your 20s. And that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was insightful. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Comment below. If you're in your 30s like myself and you're going through a similar thing to myself, comment below, share your experiences. And if you're in your 20s, again, leave me your comments, leave me your thoughts. I would love to know. And I will see you in